Hey there, bookkeeping side hustle community. Glad to be here with you today on a lovely spring day here in Virginia Beach. We are with Kristen Corey, who is coming from us all the way from Japan at 5 in the morning, and we're so grateful that she is here. She runs a company called ProAdvisor Marketing, but she is also a CPA and has not a CPA. No, sorry. Aspiring CPA, but you studied accounting. I'm sorry. I should have known that.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
Accounting professional who pivoted to using the marketing skill set that she has to help people in our industry. So I invited her to come give us a double lesson. So if you're watching this video on replay, this is what we're calling Marketing 101. And tomorrow we're going to do Marketing 201, a little bit more advanced because we're all at different spots in our journey. So today's going to be a little more basic. And if you're watching this video and you start to think, I kind of know all this, well, go watch the next one in the series. It's going to be the next video on this YouTube channel. And so we're really glad to have you here, Kristen. I'd love for you to introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us about your company. And then we're going to dive right into the meat of the material. I want this to be really practical and hands-on. And everyone needs to know one more admin. Below in the YouTube description is a resource that accompanies this teaching session. So you're not going to remember everything. So download that and you will be able to kind of follow along. Take it in bite-sized chunks, y'all. You know, don't try to do everything we talk about today, but that resource will be like a guideline for you to work through what we talk about today. So Kristen, introduce yourself and then we'll kind of get started.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Kate. Hello, everyone. My name is Kristen Corey. You may have seen me in different corners of the internet, but we provide over at ProAdvisor Marketing, we provide marketing services for accountants. And like Kate said, I have an accounting background. That is what my formal education is in. I tried the CPA exam more times than I care to admit, but I am not a CPA.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. That's like,
I was like, oh,
guest management 101. I totally crashed and burned.
No, you're good. I did my master's. I worked in public accounting. I did private accounting. I did bookkeeping at a firm very similar to probably what a lot of you are either at or trying to start. So I definitely understand the place that you're in. I just also have this creative streak that could not stay silent. And that is how we got ProAdvisor Marketing. I believe really strongly in education and educating accountants. You know, if you guys are at the beginning and you're just starting out, I want to get you to a place where you can outsource your marketing. And I hope that we can kind of be a reliable resource and really translating that to accounting talk and make it really super simple and easy for you guys. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And if you're not even quite ready to do all the stuff she's going to teach us today, I know you're active on Instagram, and I have gotten a lot of value out of just seeing kind of how you act, how you behave, and a lot of those little like the little cheat sheets you give. Like it's like this month something's happened. Like here are some ideas that you can mention to your clients. So maybe we'll get into some of that. But I know Instagram is a great place to follow you and. I just kind of pay attention. I'm like, what is she talking about? I need to know what people what I'm supposed to say.
No, it'll come up later, kind of why I chose Instagram.
Okay,
but
awesome.
I'm trying to reserve my.
So should we get into the meat of things? Are we ready for that? Okay, let me add your screen here, and I would like for you to say. I'd like to say, take it away.
Okay, awesome. So just to kind of reiterate, this is Marketing 101. We are starting super basic. Think day one of, you've decided to start a bookkeeping firm. Next question is, okay, how do I get clients? Well, just to kind of go back, my background is in accounting. All the advice here is going to be targeted for accountants, for bookkeepers, coming from someone who was an accountant, a bookkeeper. Someone left a question in one of the Facebook groups about how they're introverted and they don't feel comfortable doing marketing or networking or those sort of things. I am introverted as well. This was at one time all completely new to me. And so I'm really going to try to go back to that mindset and try to translate this for you guys. So like I said, you guys left some questions, some really great questions in the Facebook group. And really kind of reading through these and getting an idea of what questions you do have, I was thinking, okay, it looks like we need to create focus. There's so much out there about what you need to do. You need to advertise, be on social media, and start a TikTok, and have this amazing
Dance.
website with all the yeah. I'm like, now I got to do a dance. I'm like, I don't want to do a dance. I don't want to do a dance any more than you want to do a dance. Maybe you do, but that's just me. And there's so much advice out there. We need to create focus, cut through all the nonsense, and I'm going to give you three tasks, really, just to start with. I'm going to simplify them, say, okay, branding and all this other stuff is important, but we're not worrying about that right now. It's day one. And so just a few questions that I got from Facebook. How would one market their business in an online environment, and how to go from 0 to 10? Those are some things that we're going to be talking about today. These are kind of the steps that I would recommend. And so the first one is to create a very basic website. And I'm really emphasizing the word basic here. But kind of let's first talk about why. Why is the first thing I'm suggesting a website? And the reason for that is that when you create a URL and then create a website, what you're doing is starting to build SEO. And I realize SEO is one of those terms that we don't want to, that sounds really crazy and confusing. But here's the thing. It's basically just a measurement of your online presence. And depending on your online presence, depends on how high you will get ranked in Google. It's how high you'll get ranked in Google, how easily you can show up on YouTube, different things like that. So when you start early, you're starting to work on SEO without having to do a lot of work. Just having your website at least up and active starts to sort of put coins in that bank. And then when you are ready to maybe put some time into SEO, it's going to be a lot easier to build that up. One difficult truth is that marketing takes time. Just like, the sort of get rich quick schemes,
Right.
There's no get clients quick schemes. Marketing is frankly, it could take months, especially when you're starting out a new business. You don't have any testimonials to refer to. You don't have any referrals. Everyone says, oh, I get new clients from referrals and testimonials. Well, what do you do if you have 0 clients? That's not helpful. So here's the thing. We want to start early, knowing that marketing takes a lot of time to really kind of build that momentum. And when it comes to, sorry, did you have a?
Well, so are you going to talk a little bit more about the website, or can I ask some questions now kind of about just like, I guess, like the logistics of getting one? So when I think about how much it costs to build my website, which I did on my own, I went ahead and paid for 3 years of a domain. So I got it, or domain and hosting. So I got it quite a bit cheaper because I bought it in bulk. And I know for me, I mean, it was like $160 or something, I think. And I think golly, don't quote me on the prices,
Yeah,
but for me, I thought it was a way for me to like plant my flag in the ground by
right.
buying 3 years worth. And so I don't know if that dollar figure, I know wasn't a ton, but sort of at the time also, I'm like, well, I got one client. I think I might have had like 3 clients when I actually built
Yeah,
my website, but depending on what you're charging, that might be like a half of what you're getting if you've got one
right.
per month if you got one clients. But I used it as a way to say, like, I'm serious. I'm apparently doing this for 3 years now because I just paid for something that's for three years long.
Yeah,
And I actually just came up to the end of it in December. I had to finally pay again. So I don't know if that helps anybody, but cost wise, like when I spread it out over the amount of months, it was not that much. Is that the kind of price range where you're talking about? Like when you think about having to get a website, like that
yeah,
seems pretty low per month. So
yeah.
what's the pricing on something like self-built simple page?
Right. It could actually even be way cheaper than that.
Okay.
So, so no, really, like, I mean, we follow profit first at ProAdvisor Marketing. So I get
Okay.
that, like, from the beginning, your expenses are 0. If you know what profit first is, you have a 0 budget. So if we're going to take a bet on anything, we want it to be like $10. So starting from the beginning, our suggested website builder is Squarespace. It's the only
Okay.
website builder we use. I highly recommend it. We get into some of the details if you go into the YouTube description, there's that download that Kate talked
Oh, yep.
about.
Yep.
I'll talk a little bit about Squarespace, WordPress, and Wix. Squarespace is our favorite. But on that platform, they have hosting. You can buy your URL and you can build your website. Super modern website pages. But you can buy a URL for, It depends on like what URL you're going for and all those,
Okay.
different things that go into the market there. I think we got ours for like, I think it was maybe 20 to 60 bucks. Like, so it wasn't buying a URL for 1 year. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. It could be fairly affordable there.
Okay.
And then as far as the hosting and the website builder goes, Squarespace has a personal plan, and you can do this, everything I'm about to talk about, everything on the personal plan, you can do for, I think it's like $12 a month. So super cheap, fairly affordable. Of course, if you buy an annual plan, it is going to be a little bit more expensive. That sort of upfront
If you
cost.
buy the annual plan, but it's probably cheaper per
Well,
month.
yeah, they do have a discount. It just kind of, depending
Sure.
on where you at with clients and expenses and that sort of thing.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I was super glad when I built mine, y'all. Like it was such a heroic like mental shift for me. So I'm not in the camp of like, because I'm not a marketer. I'm like the world's anti-marketer. Like I'm terrible at it. Like, but it did something for me, and it's one of the things what I say. If I could have gone back and done it sooner, I would have. Not that it got me clients. Maybe it did, but I was able to market myself better because just I was able to say the phrase, "Check out my website," and
Yeah.
that like it made me feel like a completely different person being able to say that phrase instead of like, "Oh, let me type an email about kinda like what I do," and I'm like, "Here's my website. Here's my website. Here's my," yeah, and it
Yeah.
was a really big deal for me, so I encourage it, and if I can build a website, anyone can build a website, like, for sure, because
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it.
Yeah, no. I use your website. Ooh, that's in tomorrow. I use your website
Oh,
as an example. No, it's a good example. It's a good thing. So we'll get into that. But
okay.
yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it's like when you name your business, or the first time someone asks, what do you do? And you get to say, you're maybe a little hesitant. You're like, I'm a business owner. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, what you do? And you're like, no, not like that. And you like maybe pull back. It's like, no, like you're a business owner, you have a business name, you have a website, you have an email address that doesn't have, at Gmail. It's all these little milestones that make it more and more exciting.
Mhm.
Um, and so, having this website, it's a home for your business online. And like you said, I mean, you don't have to kind of explain what you do in an email.
Right.
This does so much for you and kind of really kind of establishes yourself as a professional. Um, and lastly, you can also charge more. It's going to make you look better online. People are going
I
to think you're
agree.
more established. So let's get into kind of the elements of building a website. Now, I go through
Okay.
each sort of block. And it's sort of if you consider kind of a website, each sort of screen section is what we call a block.
Okay.
Um, and just talking about very basic, again, what you can include. So I built this with Squarespace, very simple. You'll notice this is ABC Book & Co. It's a random, no logo, it's the font that they give you. It's all predetermined.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful
It's
to know that.
Yeah, I did not create that logo. That was just what they
But
gave
you
me.
approve of this. Like,
I
this would be okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't change the font because that would take me 20, 30 minutes of YouTubing to figure out how to change the font. So if you can
no,
save the time, just use the default, guys.
yeah, yeah. Use all the defaults in there. Don't upload any fonts. Don't change the colors. Here's the great thing about Squarespace. They already have fonts that are kind of uploaded. They already have color palettes that you can just pick from. So this is
Yeah.
all a color palette. I didn't upload any colors, anything specific like that. You do have to get photos, and in the download, I do recommend 2 places to get some photography: Unsplash and Pexels. They have great stock photos. Um, and so, just have your name, very basic stock photo in the background. And then this is sort of like a brand bio. Some people call this a brand bio. And what this basically is just saying, here's what I do and here's who I do it for. So bookkeeping services for small businesses in San Antonio. There's no fancy copywriting there. You are literally just saying, this is what I do. This is who I do it for.
And it's
Super basic.
changeable. You can change
Super.
it next week. If you get a
Yeah.
better idea, you can
You
just
can,
change it.
yeah. I mean, if you get a client and you're like, oh, I think I want to work with, female business owners. I think I'm going to change it. You go ahead and change it. It's the first
Yeah.
day. We're figuring everything out. It's fine. So header 1, that's all you need. There's no pages at the top. We're doing 1-page website. Second block is services. So I kind of broke it down to maybe kind of the 3, sort of maybe
Sure.
main services: cleanups, bookkeeping, payroll, very basic icon. just some text at the bottom. I think I zoomed out too much on this. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but just a very, very brief description, basically explaining what a cleanup is, and then also starting at price.
Where'd you get those icons?
So the icons are from Canva. So I did
Okay.
have to create those in Canva. Honestly, if you just type in Canva, like clock or
Yep.
writing,
Yeah.
they'll show you an icon. I just took that image and uploaded it.
Perfect.
And so, yeah, and then just a call to action. Again, very simple. No packages or creative naming.
I like those icons. I bet they require for me that would require less mental energy than going through stock photos. Like if you kind of know what I want, because when you get the stock photos, it's like, is it too bright? Is it too light? There's diversity? Is it zoomed in? Is it zoomed out? Like just put like a checkbox. Sure, fine, move along.
And honestly, like a lot of times this looks better than having like stock photos. It does.
It looks clean.
Does. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, go to Canva, just type in like, honestly, what does this image have to do with cleanups? Nothing. Neither does this one, but it looks nice when you're on the website and, people are like, oh, okay, that looks clean.
Maybe a calculator.
You can do a calculator.
You can use a calculator. Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. People honestly are not going to be looking that closely. This is day one. We're just trying to get something up. So we have our very, very basic services. Next section is going to be kind of an about section. So I always say your website is not your resume. It is about your client. It is not necessarily about you. However, they do need to know that you can do the job. This section is where you kind of share your credentials. So, hi, say your name. I've seen websites where we don't even share people's names. Make sure you say your name. You'd be surprised. Share a little bit about your experience, where you're from, maybe a personal note. Why do you serve businesses in San Antonio? Say you've lived in San Antonio for the last 20 years, whatever. And then if you have a headshot. If you don't have a headshot, just ignore this part. But everyone, maybe at some point, maybe at your last job, you got a headshot. Go ahead and throw it in there. Don't worry about it looking consistent with the rest of the photos. We just want to see your face. Super important when it comes to accounting and bookkeeping services. You're dealing with people's money. They want to be able to see the person that they're going to be working with.
Yeah, I have a resource at bookkeepingsidehustle.com /, I'm pretty sure this is it, DIY-headshot. bookkeepingsidehustle.com / DIY-headshot. I'm pretty sure that's it. And I had a friend at took a picture in front of a mural in downtown Virginia Beach, and I plopped a little like filter thing over it, and it looks cool. It's like my favorite picture of myself, and it was from a phone, and so there's no excuse to not have a picture of yourself. You don't have to hire anybody.
No.
Since then I have had professional photos, and the one that the friend took with a phone is my favorite still. So
isn't that great? Yeah, like that's it. You don't need anything fancy. Our first year and a half, we used like old photos that I had from like other things, and like they were all piecemeal together. We're a marketing agency, and for the first year and a half, we didn't have brand photos. It wasn't a priority. You can build over time.
Yep.
So get a friend to take your photo. I didn't know you had that resource, but I want to write that down. I'll maybe include that. I'll go back and update the download. But yeah, very basic. Next section, usually when we're building out websites, this is around when we start doing some trust building blocks. So this is not required. It's just a very, very simple way to have a trust building block. And really it is just kind of a way for people to get to know you more. And so if there's something that you really want people to know, make it a quote and just say it's by yourself. It doesn't need to be fancy.
Nice.
I made this up myself. I realized business owners felt empowered when they understood their financial statements. It's a quick saying. You can quote yourself. People do want to know what you have to say. You put some quotes around it. Sounds fancy, looks nice.
Another tip that I have heard from in this group, a guy named Bill Fonfumetti said, do a free training over coffee. Talk to someone who's like, your girlfriend who bought a camera and wants to take some like baby pictures on the side, and just talk with her about bookkeeping for 30 minutes, and then say, all I need is for you to write one testimonial and make me sound like I know about accounting. And that's like the easiest thing to do is just do a little free conversation but say, I just need you to write something about me. And then you have something to put there.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's frankly a really great way, especially with people who are also just starting out their business. They don't have time to invest maybe any money in accounting services. You guys can really help each other out that way. And especially if it's a photographer friend, they could take a photo of you. You can.
Oh, there you go. I wasn't even thinking that, but there, easy.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna set up these deals. Yeah, awesome. So, get creative with this, or well, don't get creative. Just keep it simple, but
Keep it simple, right?
you know what I mean. So yeah, have a quote. And then our last block that we have here is just a last call to action. Start here to begin to
Build
okay, I
stronger
didn't really
business.
write that great. To build a stronger business.
It's okay.
See, and here's the thing, typo, probably no one's gonna read it that closely as I just did. They're probably just gonna see that there's a button. So it's okay if there's typos. Another learning experience.
Do we not put our button anywhere before this section? Is it really that far down, or is it kind of
So
throughout?
I also have one here on the
Oh,
services section.
yes, got it. Okay, I think that sounds smart. I'm glad that you had that up there.
Yeah. So we have it in two places. Usually what you want to do is kind of think through the process of what someone is thinking as they're on your website. And then think, okay, now is probably the time that they would want to book a call. But yeah, one final call to action, a button to a free calendar. They have free, I think there's plenty of calendars that have kind of free options. I think HubSpot has one. I think Calendly has one.
I use free Calendly. Mine's
Yeah,
free.
there you go. So tons of free options there that you can save a little bit extra money. So yeah, create a basic website.
All right.
And just to reiterate, the goal here is to start to build your SEO. Time is on your side when it comes to SEO, so you don't really need to get into the details of it. Just know that when you have time on your side, it is helpful. You want to have a home on the internet, one page, keep it basic. And then as you grow, as you build branding items, as you build services, packages, you can add those later on. So
I gotta say a couple more things.
yeah.
I have felt so empowered that I built my website myself, because early on I'm wanting to make changes, and I just keep thinking about how people are probably stopping from doing that because they think they have to have this perfect product. And I mean, I'm consider me kind of like a tech dummy, but I think I thought that like it was a whole lot more permanent. I mean, you can change your website 100 times a day. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's news for anybody else. Maybe there's one person out there who didn't know this, but you can change it all the time. You can go in and bulk change your colors. So like all that can be changed. And so the important thing is just getting that URL out there and change it as you want. And then you're going to get like a referral link to like to Gusto or whatever, or you're going to get like the QuickBooks referral program. You're like, you know what, I can add that, like, hey, do you need QuickBooks? Like, and that can be like your first page, but you're going to
Yeah.
know how to do it instead of waiting for someone that you have to wait on and pay a lot of money to do like your very basic stuff. Like
Right.
we need to be hiring marketers to like get us clients, but there's so much more that we can do to kind of fluff out our stuff on our own before we have someone who's like trying to make a marketing machine. Like we're not trying to create a machine right now.
Yeah.
And
We're just setting up the machine.
yeah, exactly. I like, and then once you're fully ready, then it can be passed off, and you can hire the brand consultant, and they'll be like, yeah, sorry, Kate, the colors are terrible. But I'm like, well, I didn't know, and it was fine, and it was like my third button that I clicked of the palettes that they had, and I just went with it.
Yeah.
So I'd like the idea of like just practicing, making yourself learn that and know that you can change it at any moment.
Yeah. I probably, if I have too much free time on my hands, which is never, but when I'm trying to make free time, I am changing our website. It's like, obviously, because I have the background. And so I'm constantly in there saying, I want to tweak this. We've changed our website a million times. You can change this as many times as you want. There's no rules. No one cares. So, throw it up there, check back in a day or two, change a color, change some text, check for typos. And yeah, you can change it a million times. So,
all right.
Let's get into the second one. Start an email list. Now, I really want to emphasize the word start here. Just start it. We're not talking about email campaigns. I'm not talking about actually setting any sort of MailChimp or email campaign software up. I'm just saying pull up an Excel doc and create a very simple process for whenever you get an email for a consultation, an inquiry, if someone signs up for a newsletter, if you have that option on your website, add it to your email list. There is going to be a time where you maybe want to start an email list or at least reach out to people, say, hey, are you guys, ready to file for tax season? I offer tax services now. Or are you guys ready to do this? If you don't have any emails to go off of and you're only referring to like your current clients, you're starting basically at zero. So start with an email list. Email campaigns have the highest ROI out of pretty much any marketing strategy out there. On average, every dollar that you spend on email campaigns, you can expect $42 in return. So if you think about, your email list, what emails do you open? You probably open the ones that, do you open a lot, Kate?
From
Maybe.
like emails that are not specific to me, I try not to. I mean, sometimes I do. I don't know how to answer that question. I know I'm trying to unsubscribe as much as I can,
Right.
but I do open some. Like I get random ones, like this Latin teacher, and I'm like, I guess I signed
Yep.
up on his list a long time ago, and but for some reason for him, I'm not unsubscribing because I'm like, I think I might have that pain with
Yeah.
my kids. So for him, I've stayed on. I don't know.
Great.
Email's hard, but it's like it doesn't. The worst they can say is no and unsubscribe, and there's no one's
Yeah.
gonna die. No one's
No,
gonna die.
it's fine. But you said something interesting. You try to I do the same thing. I try to unsubscribe on things that I know I'm not interested in. And so that tells me two things. One, if you're still at least subscribed to my email, you are somewhat interested. You may not, maybe I'm buried in thousands of emails, but you maybe are just holding on and there's a little bit of hope. If you're opening my email, then I know we have a warmer relationship. But consider your email or your inbox to maybe your Facebook page or your Instagram page. How often do you go through the people that you're following and unsubscribe?
Not as often as I should.
Right. And so that's the thing. It's very different from your email box. People are very territorial, I would say. Protective.
Mhm.
Protective is very over their email in their inbox. So if you can get into someone's inbox and they keep reading it, or they at least are keeping to subscribe, checking in, maybe they don't read every one, that's a good sign. That means they're at least finding some value in what you're doing either today or tomorrow. So
So if I'm collecting these emails, but I know
mhm,
I categorically have nothing to say, like I'm thinking about me at the beginning, like
yeah,
I would not have had an email to send to these
no,
people. So
no,
what do
we're
I?
not.
I just am collecting the email, and I might not send an email until 18 months from now. But then somehow I might they might open it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. So what happens is, let's say 18 months from now, you can have an introduction email. We do sort of an email welcome series, like, hey, thank you guys, or it was so nice to talk with you guys since ABC Bookkeeping started. We've, done some cool things since then that I thought you may be interested in. If you're, not interested, here's a button that you can unsubscribe. But, thank you for kind of supporting us or being interested in our services at some point. And you can just recognize from the very beginning, hey, we've talked at some point. That is why you are receiving this email.
And at first, if I'm keeping it in Excel,
Mhm.
that's not gonna give me that unsubscribe button. But then so the 201 is like using an actual email
Yeah,
platform. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
correct. Yeah,
Okay, all right. You're just making us say, remember everybody you know. You know,
yeah,
this is maybe I know more about marketing than I thought, because
you
my
do.
advice to people is I bet your first client is like 1 degree of separation for most people. It might not be like your neighbor, but it might be someone
Yeah,
you met at your neighbor's barbecue, or it might not be the kids' parents from your kids' class, but it's like someone from carpool. And
yeah,
so this is kind of the same idea. Like if you've crossed paths kind of at all, then they're like the 7 degrees to Kevin Bacon kind of thing. Like but you're close. It's like
yeah,
we 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 aren't complete strangers. So, okay.
yeah, yeah,
Email list in Excel. Got
yeah.
it.
It's all we're doing. And so the next area that I also want to go over is pick a social platform and fill the feed. I
Okay.
wanted to leave a lot of time for this because we got a lot of questions on
Okay.
social media and social media
We've got
platforms.
time. We got time. Let's
Okay.
dive in.
Okay, so pick a social media platform and fill the feed. So I first want to go over that first section of pick a social media platform. Got a ton of questions on it. And how do you pick a social media platform? Really, here's the thing: when it comes down to two things. One is you want to pick a social media platform where your audience is hanging out. Now, what does that mean? Now, if you are wanting to work with service-based businesses, maybe professional services, maybe you're thinking lawyers, or maybe you're thinking white collar or office. You don't want to deal with inventory. TikTok may not be the best place.
Okay.
Um, Maybe you're thinking, I'm really into creative areas. You're considering your niche. I really like crafts and arts and hairdressers, and I'm a really creative person, and I want to work with other creatives. Instagram is going to be your place. And I go in the resource in the download. I go into each platform and what audience you can find on each platform on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram.
Ooh, that's good. That's
So
good.
yeah. So I didn't want to get too much into that because it's getting a little bit beyond beyond the scope of this. But pick a platform where your audience hangs out. Once you pick that platform, so it's going to be a combination of that. And then the second thing is a platform that you feel comfortable with. So Instagram is really, really popular for female millennials, and there are a lot of female millennial bookkeepers and accountants on Instagram. Also, it is one of the social media platforms I am most comfortable with, which is why you see us so active on there. I'm comfortable with it. I know the buttons. And so if you can find a platform that has those two things, that's where I recommend you start.
So my husband uses Discord and Reddit like for his own life. Like he's
okay.
Are those considered social media platforms? Because I've kind of thought like no one talks about those. Like maybe I should try to be cool in Discord.
Yeah. Is Discord like Reddit? I don't know what that is.
Discord? I don't know. He goes there for his computer coder stuff.
Okay.
I don't know. So I bet you could like when you pick your platform, guys, like maybe be a little different if there's places where your type hangs out. I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, that's the thing is you want to be the unique voice in that community. I had one client who was really interested in crafts and artists and those sort of things. And she found a Facebook group that was for these creative people. And there were no accountants or bookkeepers in this group, nor accountants and bookkeepers that say, hey, this is the industry we served. So she got a lot of recognition and invited to do webinars and all these events because there was no other accountants looking to talk to these people. This is also a little bit beyond the scope, but I'll just say real quickly, this is also why it could be really important to pick a niche because you can more accurately find a group or find a social media platform where you say, okay, this is where these people hang out, as opposed to general small business owners. What does that mean? That can mean a lawyer in New York, or it could mean a small mom and pop restaurant in Oklahoma. So try to pick a social media platform where your audience hangs out and one that you are comfortable with. And the second section here is fill the feed. What does that mean? So, in the early days, you're trying to get this machine going. You're setting it up. In order to get people to even know about your business, you need to post, be active, have conversations with people, and create connection. You want to be doing market research. All of this sounds very overwhelming, but I'm talking, 10 minutes. You could start at 10 minutes a day. And the reason that I say, pick an audience and a platform that you're comfortable with is because you're going to be spending so much time on this platform trying to connect with people. You want to make sure it's something you're interested in. And so when you're filling the feed, it's a lot easier for me to fill a feed on Instagram than it is for LinkedIn because I'm more comfortable on Instagram. And so post, if you can, daily. All the time that you would be spending on clients right now, try to spend it on that marketing time, learning about who you want to work with. Trying to answer people's questions, figuring out what questions people have.
So is filling the feed the same as responding to people? Can that count as filling the feed?
Yes. Yeah.
Because then the pressure's off of like content creation and it's just being active and engaged. So maybe that might lessen some of the stress about like, oh, I can't make a graphic every day or something. Well, no, just be on there and answer. I don't know. So that might help, but then still set a goal of like where you lead at least a couple times, like where you're creating something. But I know that I would have been like, I would not have had 7 days of a week worth of things say on my own, but commenting is not so bad.
No, and that's the thing. Think of it like a Facebook feed. With Facebook it's becoming a very difficult platform to market on, just because Facebook pages are getting buried in your social media feed. And if you think of a social media feed, comments and responding, just like you said, that's your feed, filling the feed, showing up in your own feed. Facebook groups are an excellent place to engage.
What about this strategy? Because this is what I've done. I have reshared stuff from the IRS. I have reshared stuff from my apps of choice. So so I use Gusto for payroll. So if their marketing people put something out, I'm like, great news from Gusto. And I'll try to pull like one sentence out from their blog post or whatever. So it's kind of a little bit cheating and piggybacking, but I don't have the bandwidth or the you know, I don't know. I just that's not what. Anyway, that might be a hack for someone else. Where
Yeah,
you're just resharing something else that someone else does. You can go like those because those companies have a lot of money and they're making content all the time. So
right.
reshare that stuff might help.
Yeah, well, Gusto loves it when you reshare. I'll just say, if as someone who serves accountants, if I got an accountant to reshare an article I wrote, that's the best day ever.
Okay.
And here's the thing, like especially highlighting something that's important, people can now see you and say, okay, Kate really searches through like IRS publications and Gusto and Zero and FreshBooks and all these platforms, and she sends me the best stuff. I'm gonna go follow her because I don't have to follow all 10 platforms. She really highlights the stuff that I need to know
Okay. Yeah.
for my business. So that, yeah, I mean, that's an excellent way to kind of fill the feed. Fill the feed doesn't mean you create content. It just means you're active constantly.
Fill the feed
Commenting,
doesn't help with SEO, does it?
it does help with SEO.
Oh, okay. How?
So how it is basically, if you think it's online. If I'm posting to LinkedIn a lot and
Uh-huh.
people are starting to engage with my content, Google does recognize that. It notices my name on the internet. It notices the website that's attached to my profile. When you type in bookkeeping side hustle into Google, it's not just your website that's going to show up. Your Facebook will show up as well. And because you've been filling the feed on your Facebook group or your Facebook page for so long, Google recognizes that and you're going to be pushed up in
Okay.
rankings. So
Okay.
yeah, does definitely helps with SEO as well. There are some questions. Do we have time
Yeah,
to?
yeah. Let's go.
Okay. So one of the questions from Facebook is, one social media platform better than another for results? So here's the thing, kind of like I said, if you are focusing on, let's say a creative industry like restaurants and you're on LinkedIn, there's going to be a little bit of a disconnect there. Restaurants are more likely to be on Instagram because it's a very visual platform and they want to show off their food, right? So you really want to consider your audience and where they hang out. A second question, is Instagram a viable place to market accounting bookkeeping services? I use it to post pictures, so I don't understand how I would use it to promote accounting. So there are actually a lot of really great accountants on Instagram that use Instagram very well. And here's my recommendation for this. If you are using Instagram, on your personal profile, follow all the accountants and bookkeepers, support them, learn what it is they're posting. They're not just posting, hey, here's a picture of my lunch today. They're posting really short tips, very savable tips, motivation, things about them and throughout their day, yes, that kind of build that relationship with them. And then, follow them on your personal profile, and then also have your business profile where you only follow people in your niche in the industry that you want to work with. So if you go to ProAdvisor Marketing's Instagram profile and you go to all the accounts that we follow, it'll all be accountants and bookkeepers and Zero and
Because
SaaS.
that's your client.
That's my client. That's my audience. All the marketers that I follow are on my personal profile. It gets me
Okay.
within that algorithm within that realm.
Okay.
So, and then just one last question: is social media outreach the number one recommended marketing method for accounting? And I don't want to do my own social media outreach. Do you have any outsourcing tips for this? Well, you can outsource this to us. That is one option, and you can definitely outsource the content creation and the social media posts. But as far as the recommended marketing method, it's almost expected that you're on some sort of social media platform. It doesn't have to be Instagram. It could be Facebook. It could be LinkedIn, YouTube.
Is YouTube a social media channel?
Yes.
Okay,
So
good, because that's what I'm
YouTube,
doing.
definitely. Well, here's the thing. YouTube it's very difficult to make video content if you're just starting out, right? What do I
Oh,
talk
so
about?
hard.
You need a video camera. You feel like you need this whole setup. It's difficult to put content out there, but YouTube helps a ton with SEO because YouTube is owned by Google. So what happens when you Google something? YouTube is also the first search results. And so if you have a whole bunch of YouTube content, you better believe Google's gonna push you to the front ahead of Facebook and LinkedIn and all this other stuff. So if you have a knack for videos, definitely recommend kind of getting on YouTube.
If anyone wants to ever talk about video creation, I can, because I learned it for doing bookkeeping side hustle, and now I'm doing it for FreshBooks tutorials. So I'm
Yeah,
starting the new channel, and I'm hoping it works.
you're doing great. I'm loving it. It's doing good. Yeah. And so is there any other questions?
I didn't say, we do have people watching live. So if you've got questions, chime in now. If not, go find Kristen on Instagram and just ask her, make her answer in public, say, but please answer me in public so the rest of us can know.
Yeah.
Beth is the only one that's commented, and she says you look fabulous for 5 a.m. So fantastic for 5 a.m.
There's a lot of makeup on right now. You'd be surprised.
So if those of you who are watching, if you do have questions, I want to kind of keep this short so people won't get scared to watch the replay. Come back tomorrow. Tag Kristen in our group. Feel free. I'm saying go ahead and tag her. we'll make her answer because she's in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle Facebook community. So that's one way you can find her there. So why don't we wrap up for today? Tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm going to not have the sun setting right in my eyes through these blinds at my co-working space. Sorry for my weird light, y'all. And I call myself a YouTuber. Oh, gosh.
No, that's small. I can barely notice. It's great.
I have like a, the halo effect or something. So
it is.
Tomorrow, same time, same place, we're going to get into some more advanced strategies. Edgar, thanks for being here this time. And Linnell, thank you too. Kristen, we really appreciate it. And you get to sleep in after tomorrow. Okay. One more early morning with us. And we will just keep leaning on you. We appreciate your generosity with your tips. Thank you for the resource you created. Y'all make sure to go download it. And we will look forward to the more advanced tips for tomorrow. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
See you guys tomorrow.
Okay.